The morning of my daughter's 10th birthday started the way I'd planned it. Quiet, controlled, deliberately joyful. Pancakes shaped like stars. A single candle stuck into a pile of strawberries because she'd decided chocolate cake was too babyish. Now I watched her eat with the careful seriousness of someone newly aware that age means something. I'd learned to keep birthdays insulated. No expectations, no big announcements, just us and the promise that the day would be hers. My phone buzzed while she was opening her first gift. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. I glanced down only because I thought it might be her dad confirming pickup time later. It was a photo. Bright blue water, white sand, a cluster of familiar faces squinting into the sun. My parents, my siblings. Their kids, all smiling in that loose, unguarded way people do when they don't feel watched. The caption read, "Miami finally all together." I felt my stomach drop, not because they were traveling, but because I hadn't known, because no one had said a word, because it was today. I set the phone face down and finished clapping while my daughter blew out her candle. She grinned at me, cheeks flushed, waiting for approval. I gave it fully. Whatever was happening elsewhere didn't get to touch this moment. Later, while she played in her room with the door half closed, I picked the phone back up. I scrolled. More photos, poolside drinks, matching hats, a comment from my aunt to wish you could have made it. That was the moment disbelief gave way to recognition. This wasn't a scheduling mistake. It was a continuation. I commented before I could overthink it. Not angry, not sarcastic, just plain. "So you all left town today?" I stared at the screen, waiting. My chest tightened the way it always did when I named something out loud. The reply came from my dad within minutes. "Didn't feel like babysitting a problem child." There it was. The old title, dusted off and deployed casually, like it was a shared joke everyone understood. I sat down at the kitchen table. The chair felt too hard. My hands were steady, which surprised me. I wasn't spiraling. I wasn't crying. I felt something colder and clearer. I thought of all the times I'd swallowed that label, how it had followed me from childhood into adulthood, reshaped to fit whatever boundary I dared to set. Problem child meant I asked questions. Problem child meant I didn't smooth things over fast enough. Problem child meant I expected reciprocity. My daughter laughed from her room, a bright, unself-conscious sound. The contrast sharpened everything. I didn't want her inheriting this dynamic. I didn't want her learning that love was conditional and silence was safer. I typed my response slowly. "Perfect. Because your retirement fund paperwork is finalized and no longer requires my involvement." I read it twice, then once more. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement. I hit send. The comment thread went quiet. I knew exactly what that silence meant. Confusion first, then panic. Because unlike the emotional labor I'd provided for years, calls returned. Crisis mans temporarily overseen. This was concrete. After my mom retired early, I'd been the one helping manage their accounts. Not because I was asked nicely, but because it was assumed. I was good with details. I liked responsibility. When I tried to step back before, I was told I was overreacting. This time I hadn't argued. I'd acted. My phone buzzed. A private message from my mom. What does that mean? I didn't answer immediately. I walked down the hall and checked on my daughter. She was lining up her gifts in order of importance, narrating her logic to no one in particular. I sat on the bed and listened until my breathing slowed. When I went back to the kitchen, there were 3 missed calls. I answered the 4th. "You embarrassed your father," my mom said without pull. I protected myself. I replied. There was a pause. It was a joke. "It wasn't," I said. "And even if it was, I'm done being the punchline." Her voice softened the way it always did when she switched strategies. "You know how he is." "Yes," I said. "I do." "What about family?" she asked. I looked at the hallway at my daughter's door. That's exactly what this is about. I explained calmly what I'd already done. The documents signed, the accounts transferred to a third-party manager, the boundaries said in writing. No more informal access, no more late-night calls framed as emergencies. "You didn't have to do it like this," she said. "I did," I replied, "because this is how you hear me." She didn't argue after that. She just said she needed time. The rest of the day unfolded quietly. We went to the park, ate pizza on the grass. My daughter asked why Grandma and Grandpa hadn't called. I told her they were busy but loved her. That wasn't a lie. It was just incomplete that night. After she fell asleep, I sat on the couch and let the exhaustion catch up to me. My phone stayed face down. I didn't need to see the reactions to know they were happening. In the following days, messages trickled in. My sister first defensive and clipped. "You didn't have to make it public." I didn't respond. My dad next. Short. "You've always been dramatic." I archived it. Then an email from their financial advisor confirming the change and outlining next steps. Professional, no deniable. That was the external consequence. Not shame, not confrontation, just reality shifting shape. A week later, my mom came by. She brought a small gift for my daughter, a bracelet with a heart charm. She didn't apologize. She didn't accuse either. We sat at the table and talked about logistics, about weather, about nothing that mattered. Before she left, she said, "I hope this isn't permanent." I met her eyes. "It depends on what changes." She nodded slowly like someone hearing a foreign language, but recognizing the seriousness of the tone. After she left, I felt the familiar tug of guilt. Ending a pattern doesn't erase decades of conditioning, but underneath it was something steadier. Relief. Not because I'd won, but because I'd stopped participating. My daughter wore the bracelet to school the next day. She told me she liked how it jingled when she ran. Watching her, I felt the grief surface, not sharp, but deep. Grief for the childhood I hadn't been protected in, for the family I kept hoping would show up differently. But grief isn't the same as regret. I didn't regret choosing a different ending for us. The family went on with their trip. More photos appeared. I muted them. Life narrowed back to manageable proportions. On my daughter's birthday night, after the house went quiet, I wrote her a note and tucked it into her memory box. I told her she deserved to be celebrated, that love didn't come with labels, that adults were supposed to protect kids, not brand them. I didn't mention Miami or my father's words. Some truths are for later. For now, it was enough to know that the pattern stopped here.